Hey, I want to take some time today to do a follow-up to the video I did yesterday where I talked about the recent shooting in Philadelphia. In that video, I said I thought police officers performed their duties as they should, and they were blameless in this. They actually performed admirably, and this is not their fault. They bear no burden of responsibility for this. But apparently, a lot of people didn't agree with me because a lot of people got mad at me after I said this. And I don't know why. They act like I'm some sort of bootlicker to police officers. I think everyone knows I am not a law enforcement bootlicker. But people got mad at me. They said they should have used their tasers, and you know it. If they would have used their tasers, this wouldn't have happened. Well, that brings up the subject I've talked about before, and that is tasers. And whether police should be required to use them, when they should use them, etc. Well, you know, there's a whole bunch of factors you got to consider with tasers that I don't think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people out there think tasers are these magic devices that you pointed them at someone, push the button, and they're incapacitated. Everything's done. It's over. That's just not the reality. So let's talk about some of the realities of tasers right now. One is their effectiveness. A lot of people like to say, well, they're like 95% effective. They're nearly 100% effective. Well, that's what manufacturers tell you. But actual in-the-field usage rates are closer to 50% effective, not 100% effective. In fact, most states report between 50 and 60% effectiveness rates, and a lot of those include very optimal circumstances. And they don't use them when it's not optimal. So those are very even when you look at those 50% or 60% rates, that's very skewed towards positive. It would be less positive if they used them in other circumstances. So you're looking at probably at best a 50% incapacitation rate with a taser. So if a grown man is charging you with a knife and you're a police officer, let's say you're one-on-one with him, using your taser is just as likely to get you killed as it is to stop a bad guy. That's a requirement, that's a responsibility that I would not place on a police officer. I wouldn't put that on you as a citizen. I wouldn't say to you that, oh, that guy was coming at you with a knife, you should have had a taser, not a gun. I wouldn't say that to people. That guy has chosen to be a threat to your life. You owe him no consideration beyond stopping him. Same thing with police. If I wouldn't put the burden on you, I won't put the burden on police. There's no way I would ask a police officer to take a 50-50 chance, roll of the dice on whether he's going to stop the assailant or he's going to be killed before I would allow him to use his firearm. Just wouldn't do that. They're just not they're not effective enough. And plus, once they get in range of you, a certain distance of you, which you're likely to use a taser, you're already in their danger range if they have a knife. So tasers are just not a good idea in that situation. Also, even if there's multiple police officers, let's say there's 2 police officers with guns and 1 with a taser. And people will say, well, that's what they should have done. There were multiple of them there, so one of them should have been trying to tase him. Well, that one-on-one thing still counts for him versus the bad guy, the one cop using the taser. Who do you ask to sacrifice their safety to try to tase him when he's armed? That cop will still be in danger. He could easily turn on him, attack him while he's trying to tase him, kill that police officer before the other police officers could end his life. Because once you're within a certain range, it's going to take a while for the bullets to take effect. Especially if they're shooting at him from the back. It's hard to get through someone's back. And plus, if they have to fire after the other officer tries to tase him, there's almost no way they can position themselves to where if he goes at the officer, they can shoot at him without the officer also being in danger of being shot. So tactically, it's just not a good idea to rely on that. Tasers are a good idea in certain situations. Usually when the bad guy, or I guess we should say the perp, is more of a danger to themselves than they are anyone else. If there's a risk that they're going to injure themselves while resisting, but they're no real serious threat to the police officers, yeah, tasers are very good for that. But even then, you have to take some considerations, because tasers are also not as safe as a lot of people think they are. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that tasers are actually responsible for more deaths of people being arrested by police officers than restraint holds are. That they can cause serious issues with certain people, and therefore they're not totally safe. So sometimes it's just safer to hold somebody down and handcuff them than it is to tase them. So I think people have this, like I said, this crazy idea that tasers are just something magical that you point at and push a button and it's all over. That's not the way it is. They're often not effective at all. Especially if someone charges you and you go to tase them and they get to within a certain range of you, well, you're not going to get enough spread on the little diode thingies or the little spikes, and you're not going to incapacitate that person. If they get within 12 feet of you, which someone can, from taser range, can get to within 12 feet of you almost instantly if they leap quickly or run. So they might get to a range where your taser's not even going to be effective, because if those little prongs can't be about this far apart, you're not going to incapacitate them. If they're this far apart, good chances are you're not even going to barely slow them down. So tasers are not these magical tools a lot of people think they are, and a lot of times I think they're more dangerous to use than other methods. And like I said, if someone is actually presenting a threat to the officer or other citizens around, tasers are just not effective enough to use first, because you're not going to get a second option before someone gets injured. If he's running at you and you try your taser first, I keep saying phaser and have to screw this video up because I can't get phaser out of my mind. But if you use your taser first and it doesn't work, well, as he's stabbing you, you don't get to go, well, I guess now I'll use my gun, because you're probably going to die if that happens, or you're going to be seriously injured at least. And here's the thing, you didn't start the confrontation, you shouldn't have to bear the risk of injury. It's the person who is, regardless of their circumstance, they're the one presenting the threat. If they decide to lunge and give you reason to shoot, that's on them. And it doesn't put a burden on you to take less than lethal means to stop them, because those means aren't reliable enough to ensure your safety. So I wouldn't put that burden, like I said, on regular citizens. I'm not going to put it on cops. And like I said, as far as tasers go themselves, they're not as safe as people think they are. They're not as effective as people think they are. They're just not this, save the day situation kind of things that everyone seems to think they can be. That's not true. And plus, like I said, anytime you use a less than lethal option, if that person is actually a threat to you while you're using it, you're basically taking a chance. You're rolling the dice. Am I going to stop them, or am I going to agitate them and then they're going to hurt me? So, like I said, wouldn't ask you to do that, won't ask police to do that. And also, if you look at it from the aspects of a person, that's being confronted by police, tasers are dangerous, period. They're not like, it's not like butterfly kisses, like I said. So they should be used sparingly, and they should be used when the person is more of a danger to themselves than they are anyone else. If they're being a danger to other people, it's not fair to place their well-being above the well-being of the people they're actually threatening, because those people didn't do anything wrong. So if there's risk, it should be to the person who's doing the wrong thing. Like the guy charging with the knife should be taking all the risk of being shot. The people he's charging shouldn't have to take the risk of being stabbed just so they don't hurt the guy who's threatening them. So that's my opinion on tasers. I don't think they would have been effective here. And a lot of people are like, well, they were defunded, so they didn't have tasers. I don't think that's actually relevant, or even, I don't even know if it's true, but if it is, I don't think it's relevant, because like I said, tasers have a very limited application as far as I'm concerned, and this situation is not one of them. Hey, this is the Yankee Marshal, just reminding everyone out there that if you disagree with anything I say in any one of my videos, be it something political or tactical, I am going to give you the opportunity to come talk to me face to face instead of just having to put stuff in comment sections where someone might not even read them. You can come in one of my live chats and tell me off in person. You just have to send an email to shootingleftofcenter@gmail.com, and in the subject line of that video put slap the yank, and then I will get back with you and set up a time where you can come in one of the live chats and tell me off face to face.